If you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume that you already know that Eli Lilly stock is down about 20% in the past month alone and about 27% in the past 6 months. Now, I don't know about you, but at a time when everything seems to be hitting their all-time highs and it's becoming harder and harder to find a really good bargain, whenever things like this happens, light bulbs just start going off in my head. So today, you and I, we're going to dive into Eli Lilly, and we're going to do a brief but very fun analysis, and we're going to have a little discussion about what really caused this massive sell-off with Eli. And at the end of this video, we're going to put our heads together and we're going to come up with a decision of whether now is a good time to buy into this stock or we should just sell it, cut our losses, and get the heck out of here and save ourselves the additional headache. But before we do any of that, I have one strict rule, and that is before I ever even put a single penny into any stock, I always like to analyze the company and try to understand the company as best as I can. So before we dive into the fun financial analysis, let's do a brief analysis of who Eli Lilly really is and what is the company really about and what do they actually do. Now, you may know this or you may not, but Eli Lilly was founded way before you or even me was in our mother's wombs. It was founded way back in 1876 by none other than Colonel Eli Lilly, which is obviously where the company derived its name from. He was a pharmaceutical chemist and a Union Army veteran during the American Civil War, and it all started in Indianapolis in Indiana about 149 years ago, and the company still has its head office located there up to this day. The current CEO of Eli Lilly is a guy by the name of David Ricks, who in 2024 received a total compensation package of $29 million, which included a base salary of $1.7 million and stock awards of almost $20 million. Another fact that you may not have known is that besides the US, Lilly actually has offices in 18 other countries, including Ireland, France, Italy, Spain, Germany, Australia, South Africa, Mexico, Austria, and Brazil, just to name a few. And as of today, their products are sold in over 125 countries worldwide. Lilly develops and sells medicines all over the world, including treatments for diabetes, cancer, autoimmune diseases, and some neurological diseases. As we speak, Eli Lilly stands as one of the largest and most valuable healthcare companies in the United States, and they employ around 43,000 employees across the globe. Their products span over several major health sectors, with some of them being absolute blockbuster drugs that generate billions in revenue for them annually. Let me tell you about some of their more prominent products. 1. Mounjaro, which is used for diabetes and weight loss, which generated almost $11.5 billion for them in 2024. 2. Trulicity, which is a type 2 diabetes drug, generated over $5 billion for them in 2024. Zepbound, which is also another obesity and type 2 diabetes drug, generated $4.9 billion for them in the year 2024. 4. Verzenio, which is a drug that is used for treating breast cancer, generated about $5.3 billion for them in 2024. And 5. Jardiance, which is used for treating heart failure and type 2 diabetes, generated approximately $3.3 billion for them in the year 2024. And I can go on and on all day long about some of the incredible products that Eli Lilly currently sells. Another thing, something really important to note, and what many people don't know, is that Lilly was actually one of the first companies to mass produce the polio vaccine and insulin, and it was one of the first pharmaceutical companies in the world to produce human insulin using recombinant DNA, including humulin and humalog. So now that we have a fairly good idea of what they do, it's worth noting that they had quite a bit of controversies and quite a bit of bumps along the way. For example, in 2009, Lilly pleaded guilty for illegally marketing Zyprexa and paid a $1.4 billion penalty, which included a $515 million fine, which at the time was one of the largest ever criminal fines in a healthcare case and the largest fine for an individual corporation ever imposed in the US. Now for the good stuff. Let's dive into what we all care about the most, which is their stock price and where the hell do we think it's going to go from here. So here are some facts, and if you all know me well enough, you all know I like to dive in to see who are the biggest shareholders of any company before we buy into it or do anything with the company. So in Lilly's case, the largest shareholders are Lilly Endowment, which owns about 10.1%, the Vanguard Group, who owns about 8.8%, BlackRock, who owns about 7.3%, PNC Financial, who owns about 5.4%, and Capital World, who owns about 4.9%. Now, as far as their revenue goes, in 2024, Lilly's total revenue generated almost $45 billion, marking a 32% increase over the previous year of 2023. And their net income stood at about $10.5 $5 billion, which was more than double from the previous year. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had many businesses in my life, and I have never been able to double my profit margin in one single year. So kudos to you, Eli Lilly. So far for 2025, their total revenue has already reached about $16 billion, indicating a 36% increase from over last year. So I can safely say that the company is maintaining an impressive upward momentum and growth figures. Lilly's stock price hit a peak at about $972 back in August of 2024. And at the time of making this video, their 52-week low stock price sits at around $623, which means that the average stock price for the past year sits at around $822. As I sit here speaking to you, currently their stock price holds at around $640 a share, giving them a total market cap of a whopping $574 billion. I think it's also worth noting that the company had a really strong second quarter financial report this year, where they beat all earnings expectations, and they even went as far as raising their full year profit and sales guidance. So despite all of these outstanding numbers, why in the world is the stock suddenly getting hammered? And how on earth did the stock tumble more than 14% in a single day, wiping out about $100 billion on August the 7th, which was one of the largest single day percentage drops for the company in 2 decades? Well, I'll tell you why. For quite some time now, Eli Lilly has actually been working on an oral weight loss pill called orforglipron. Now, the Lord alone knows who the hell came up with this name, but I think whoever the person is, they need to be fired immediately. I mean, no wonder the pill isn't doing well. It's because no one could even pronounce the darn thing. Anyways, jokes aside, the recent sell-off was triggered by disappointing stage 3 clinical trial results for orforglipron. Now, while the pill did achieve a 12% weight loss amongst patients, it fell a bit short of analyst expectations, which was closer to around 15%, and it underperformed some of its rival treatments from Novo Nordisk, such as Ozempic and Wegovy. Now, the big question is this huge drop in stock price justified due to the disappointing results of just one pill? Well, we'll answer that in just a moment, because first we have to look at the importance of this pill in the global market. It's no secret that the weight loss drug market is booming all over the world, and investors had really high hopes for orforglipron, as many people view oral weight loss drugs as somewhat of the next gold rush. And it's quite obvious why they see it this way, because obesity and diabetes numbers around the world keeps climbing, mainly due to poor diets and poor lifestyle decisions. And the numbers show no sign of decreasing in the near future. Another thing that led to further disappointment in the trial was that many of the patients in the trial experienced gastrointestinal side effects, such as nausea, vomiting, and indigestion, to name a few. But hello, is this something new for these drugs? Every single TV ad that we see for any drug lists all of these side effects anyway. We're accustomed to it. So this is nothing new if you ask me. Anyways, the trial also had about a 25% dropout rate amongst the patients. And the reasons for this has not been publicized yet, so it's still a bit unclear what really happened. Coming back to the big question, do you think that this stock price is justified just because of the trial results of this one pill? Well, let me ask you this. Let's say Lionel Messi screwed up one shot at the World Cup. Would you have benched him for the rest of the entire tournament? Of course not. In my humble opinion, Eli Lilly is a world-class company with dominant products in very high-growth markets. So anytime a company like this gets hit by bad short-term news, that's when I pay the most attention. I mean, think about it. Obesity and diabetes drugs is set to become one of the largest pharmaceutical markets in the history of the world. And guess who's positioned right in the center of all of it? Yep, Eli Lilly. So what am I going to do? Well, let's put it this way. The last time I increased my Eli Lilly position was back in April, when all the Liberation Day turmoil was happening. And I paid $732 a share back then. So today, this stock seems like a total bargain to me. And that's why I increased my position yet again. And it's not just me. It was just brought to my attention that the current CEO, David Ricks, he just bought $1 million with his own personal funds just because of this market dip. So hey, this is not financial advice, but I'm just sharing with you what my thoughts are and what I'm doing. But I would love to know what your thoughts are and what you intend to do. And I would love to know whether you agree or disagree with anything I've said in this video. And as always, time will tell whether I made the right decision or not. But I strongly believe in 2035, 10 years from now, I think I'm going to be looking back and say, good job, man. Oh, and before I forget, please go ahead and smash up all those really beautiful buttons down there because I want to stay connected with you. We got a lot more to talk about, and I hope to see you in the next video. And as always, I wish you a healthy, wealthy, and happy life, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.